Let's talk about InDesign. I want to talk about major Adobe InDesign interface. Okay, this is a welcoming page. When you have it, maybe you don't have anything in here. This just shows the recent file that I was working on. And here on the top left corner, you have new file or open. Let's start with new file. It is going to ask you putting the basic setting, and let's start. Now you can have from here, if you click on the print, that shows the typical size already set stone, so you can choose from here, and you may have some template, but let's practice with the letter size. Okay, so when you click on the letter, it has already set based on the letter size. So pcast is different unit used in InDesign. You can actually make it back to inches so that you can feel much more comfortable about it. 8.5, 11 inches, these are letter size, right? So that's how, if I move to the legal, for example, that changes, and go back to the inches, that's 8.5 multiplied 14 height, that's a legal size. So that's how it moves. This unit, width and height, moves based on that, what I select as preset. So I click back to the letter, still shows as pcast, but that's 8.5 by 11. And then you can decide about the orientation. So orientation, it's vertically portrait shape, and that's horizontal shape, landscape shape. And if we are going to create a report that can be like a book, that in textbook kind of things, you want to have the portrait, and you want to make it side by side. So that's what you needed as portrait. So click the portrait. That blue means I selected it, and I have page option. InDesign, you can create a multiple page report. That's why we are using InDesign. If you are thinking about maybe one page poster, maybe InDesign having one page as set, that's fine, or Illustrator can be another option you can consider. So let's add multiple pages because we're creating a report. I want to have 10 pages, okay? And then next to it, it says facing pages. When it doesn't check, what happens is, let me show you another window. When you say check, this is the same thing. What's going to happen is, you see that this is vertical shape that I just assigned it, right? Having facing pages. So if you check that facing pages one, you will have it's like a book opening kind of happening. So you can have two pages facing each other. The first page is, by the way, is separate. It's not facing together by default. You can make it facing pages for the first and second page together, but by default, consider that as a cover page of your book. And then page number 2 and page number 3 are facing each other. That's the facing pages mean, okay? So let's go back to here. I want to have 10 pages all together, including cover page. So I want to have a facing page checked. And starting number of the pages, let's start with page number 1 is just like a default. I'm not going to touch about this one. And scroll down a little bit here. This says about columns and column gutter. So what that means is, if I have column 1, going back to what I have here, it has 2 columns per page. If I have only 1 column, the center one goes away, so it will have only 1 column. So when I type, it goes all the way from the left line to all the way to the right. If I have 2 columns, what it does is it will consider 2 columns. So if I type, it will go from here to all the way to the center, and goes down to the center, goes down to the center until it fills completely. And once it is completely filled, the next after that goes all the way to the right column top. So it goes in this way. So that's how I assign the column. And also you may remember here, another one has column gutter, means that between column, that's space. That's what gutter means. Okay, so that's what you need to understand about basic thing. There are extra things. You can have margins, adding top, bottom, inside and outside of the margin. Because I had facing pages, it asks as inside versus outside. If I don't click this one, it says left and right of the pages. So let's have the facing pages. Inside margin means that coming down in here, that's the inside of margin. So it could be if my page is going to be the left side of this facing together, inside means my right side of margin. If the page is right side of this facing pages, that the left margin is going to be inside. So that's inside margin. This one and then this one is going to be outside margin if I click this facing pages. Okay, and there's also additional one on the bottom, bleed and slug. So that's a little bit of some technical definition going on in here. Let me introduce about the bleed and the slug. So going back to what I have here, you can I have slide website showing up here. This shows as a bleed. So going back to what I have in here, if I don't assign any bleed margin, what it does is it will create a white border when I print it. InDesign is for printing the bottom line, right? So when I finished and my document and want to print it out, it will show as the white border. That's no bleed is assigned. But when I assign the bleed, I can cut to the all the way to the edge, so that you can see in here the darker line here shows as a page trim line, and assign an extra bleed that is going to be outside of them. So going back to this website, it will, when I cut, when professional, it's not me in my office, right? The professional printing company, when they print it with the bleed area together, after they print, they will cut based on the size of letter. And then once they cut, it will be showing all the way to the edge. Images will be shown. That's the bleeds, okay? That's, oops, coming back here. That's the bleeds. And also another one I had there earlier was, let's go back to the InDesign. Sort of about the changing of the pages. I want to show whole 4 pages. That's the bleed. As of now, I have no bleed. So if I finishing it, printing, even though I designed to the all the way to the edge, I want to add some image. Once I print without having bleed in any number here, it will create a white border when I print it out. That's something that you may have to always aware about it. Another one is a slug. Slug is area that you can use for guiding the printing company. For example, let's go to here. Slug is the area you can print, like having, this is the different shade of the black, shade of the gray. So all the way black means that color, all the way white means that color, or that's the the basic color kind of option default. It shows about that's the center point. That's where the cut line will be happening. Kind of all of those extra information in addition to where you are going to use as a cut, right? That all of those extra information is going to be marked on your slit area. So as of now, I could have no slug, not the slit, I'm sorry, bleed and slug. Since I don't have any slug, those information that I showed you earlier is not going to be placed anywhere. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show it. And once I have create, let's see, coming on. Okay, thanks for a while. So once I have it, when I scroll down, see, I have I will explain this one later, but let me click this pages thing. I have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to page 10. They are facing each other. Just the first page and the last page has one page because the first page is going to be my cover. The last page is going to be my back of my report, right? And I have here, I didn't put any column, so I have one column there. But what if I have two columns? I will have two columns. If I have three columns, I have three columns. By the way, those lines are not going to be print. That's only helping you. So let me show you once I have, we'll talk about that one. On the bottom of this, the toolbar, the very bottom, you see that thing popping up. That one is normal view. That helps for you to work on because it shows every guideline. But if I have a preview or presentation mode, let me do maybe preview. See, that's what it's going to be printed. Those guideline goes away. Or if I go with presentation mode, see, there's nothing going on. It's just the guideline goes away, right? So hit from here to escape, I have to hit ESC key, escape key. So going back here, go back to the normal view, see the guideline pops up. So those guidelines are helping you to work on it. This is working for the editor perspective. That's what it is. So I'll be back.